Hello dear UPSC aspirants, today is 17th January and we are ready with the must read articles for 17th January, and before we start the video I want to tell all of you that it has a lot of articles very relevant from mains paper of essay and ethics and also from prelims point of view. So please listen to the last minute of the video to extract the maximum benefits. So let's start with the front page. This article on Thursday, the entire country was celebrating the success of ISRO. ISRO docks 2 satellites, puts India in elite league. The ISRO successfully executed a satellite docking experiment, making India the 4th country after US, Russia and China. Okay, the 2 satellites are Chaser and Target, launched by the satellite PSLV C60. So docking is a successful feat by ISRO because it is very difficult to set 2 satellites in such a way in the orbit which are moving at a speed of 1000 kilometers per hour that there is a transfer of power, energy and crew transfer between them. So it is very important for futuristic mission like manned craft to the moon, where a person from our country will land on the moon and operating an Indian space station that we are trying to make. So it's very important, this docking and undocking to be done by ISRO. Let's move to the next article. Now this scheme is also very important. Tamil Nadu's drone Didi spray fills in a jiffy. So Namo drone Didi scheme is a very important scheme. It is enabling farmers and especially women-led self-help groups to spread pesticides and fertilizer in an easy manner. So this women self-help group members are selected under the center's Namo Didi program scheme at empowering rural women by training them to be drone pilots. Okay, women will be the pilots and making them integral stakeholders of the local farming supply chain. Okay, 5-day hands-on training is given to them by the Garuda Aerospace Private Limited in Chennai, and they're also given money to buy or subsidy to buy the drone. They're given the training, so they can also easily spray the fertilizers and pesticides and also give the drone on rent for an added income for women SHGs. Recently our President Draupadi Murmu has invited them for the Republic Day event. Okay, and then there's a special invitation which has gone to drone Didis. Next article. Parties asked to disclose label AI content used in poll campaigns. So this comes under GS paper 2, where Election Commission of India in this day and world of social media and AI and deepfakes is trying to hold election which is completely fair in nature. So they have issued a fresh advisory to political parties to ensure responsible and transparent use of AI generated content in their campaigns. So they have to follow the labeling and disclosure norms as far as use of AI generated content is concerned. They have to call themselves either AI generated, digitally generated or synthetic content, because nowadays there's a deepening influence of AI generated content in shaping public opinion, which can change the voting behavior just before the election. So let's move to the next article. This is EI's initiative in improving the election behavior, making it as fair as possible. Let's move to the next article. Yeah, so 6 die in 𝘿𝙤𝙤 and other bull related sports in Tamil Nadu. So 𝘿𝙤𝙤 was a big issue during 2019-18. Okay, so what is 𝘿𝙤𝙤? It's a 2000-year-old sport followed in Tamil Nadu. Okay, where bull owner takes care of the bull and for this event, and when the contestants are able to tame the bull, they will get the prize, and if they're not able to tame the bull owner will get the prize. So this is the sport of 𝘿𝙤𝙤. Similar bull sports are Kambala in Karnataka. Okay, so a lot of people, 6 people have died in Tamil Nadu because of this. It is also called 𝘿𝙤𝙤'𝙩. 𝘿𝙤𝙤 is also called 𝘿𝙤𝙤'𝙩, 𝘿𝙤𝙤 and 𝚘𝚘𝑣𝑟𝑎𝑡𝑡𝑢. Okay, and so back in 2014, so Supreme Court had banned this, but there was a lot of protest by Tamil Nadu people for conserving their culture. So because of that, Ministry of Environment had to bring the notification to save it. Then Tamil Nadu government brought a law to save their culture, and the Supreme Court upheld the Tamil Nadu law, and since then only 2 states, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, are able to do this sport legally. Other states have banned it. So there was a dilemma between cultural heritage of the state, that is Article 29 clause 1 of the community versus animal cruelty. Okay, so this was the dilemma, or this was the ethical dilemma here. Let's move to the next article. Odisha to overhaul management of multi-purpose shelters after cyclone Dana has exposed deficiencies. So this is one of the issues that you will write under the disaster management, that though a lot of things are created for their better safety and evacuation, but they are not maintained. So this multi-purpose shelters, they did not have functional toilets, they did not have power supply, and they were made after 1919 super cyclone. So these issues are not good for evacuation of people, and they are working on administration and overhauling of the management. So write this as an issue in the disaster management of cyclones especially. Let's move to the next article. Editorial. So continuing from the front page, talking about the docking, this editorial article has further explained upon it. So the C-60 mission has launched the fourth stage of the rocket on an orbital platform. Why this is important? Docking allows spacefaring components to be launched separately and assembled in space to form a larger module. Okay, why we need this? Because this allows a space agency to plan interplanetary missions whose spacecraft are heavier if they want to launch heavier satellites, but the rockets are not capable enough to launch that heavy. So they are heavier than what the heaviest rockets can launch. So docking is the symbolic gateway to new opportunities, with the Chandrayaan-4 lunar sample return missions being a good example. And there is our it's called Bharatiya Antariksh Station. India is trying to launch Bharatiya Antariksh Station. This docking is very important for that mission. Let's move to the next article. Great anniversary of peace initiatives, a role for India. So this is about nuclear policy, nuclear war, and it can come under nuclear policy under GS paper 2. A lot of war related, conflicts related, peace related, when essays are coming, you can use this quotes of of big scientists. Okay, so this is 80 years. This year 2025 is the 80th year of that test. The first use of bomb that had been tested over the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki of Japan, which all of us remember, where from 1.5 to 2.5 lakh deaths had happened. And we all know now the person Robert Oppenheimer, since the movie was made upon him, he was the director and he was influenced by Bhagavad Gita. So when that this happened, this atom bomb event happened, then he quoted this quote from Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of world," which was the quote of Sri Krishna. But this was not interpreted well by the Robert Oppenheimer, because the decision was not correct for killing so many innocent people, and that was not the case in Mahabharata of Bhagavad Gita. And so one of the scientists, Bertrand Russell, has talked against it, and he has said, either we shall all perish or develop a common sense, and for which a good political thinking will be necessary if utter disaster is to be averted. This scientist Russell and along with Albert Einstein and Russell in 1955 with other scientists had also issued an appeal to all the governments to avert nuclear disaster. You can use this point as well. Joseph Rothblatt was part of this Manhattan Project of nuclear attack, and he came out of it, and in manifesto all the other scientists had said, remember your humanity and forget the rest. Okay, and another similar thing happened in India, which is on January 17, 1955, Indian National Congress, they met at Awadhi. Okay, during the similar thing that was happening in world, an event happened in India also, where Jawaharlal Nehru was present and C. Rajagopalachari was present, and they passed important resolution against the hydrogen and atomic bombs. The ominous development in respect of atomic and hydrogen bombs are menace not only to world peace but to civilization itself, and they said it is imperative to be saved from destruction. So you can use the Awadhi resolution also, which was taken up by the Disarmament Commission of the United Nations. So this this Gopal Krishna Gandhiji is saying that in today's world where Russia versus NATO fight is going on, Israel-Palestine fight is going on, there are chances that non-state actors can take the control of it through cyber and artificial intelligence, and that will be very deadly, because non-state actors are not responsible players and not accountable players. So that is what is being talked about here. Let's move to the next article. Now, this article has very less content. An alliance of democracies with India at its core. It talks about India and EU's bilateral relations, which is big on strategies but small on delivery. Okay, so there is on and off of FTA. So the writer is saying Europe should learn from USA how to make good relations with India. So India should, uh, rely less on Russia, and EU should rely less on China to be able to form a better relationship, because they have huge dependency on China for critical raw material. Okay, so India and US has already formed Quad, which is also called Asia Pacific NATO, and EU's new dedicated defense commissioner should visit and do something like that with India. That's the writer is recommending. Okay, and this is and also US India has a very important initiative which was founded in 2022. Initiative on critical and emerging technologies, via which US is giving a lot of technology to India. So the Australian Strategic Policy Institute has tracked the top 64 emerging technologies that will shape the world, and in 57 out of 64 technologies, China is winning the global race. So India, US, and Europe have to hold hands together and become the leader in these technologies. Let's move to the next article. So this data is important for us. Number of internet users in rural India in 2024. A lot of questions come about digital India, digitalization in agriculture. So you should remember the data, how much rural people are using. 488 million users are there in rural India who are using internet. They are 55% of the total internet population. Sources are IAMAI and Kantar. It states that internet user base in India is 900 million. And rural people are using because of the Indic languages that is available in the internet today. Okay, let's move to this big article, the impacts of rupee weakening. Okay, so recently the rupee has weakened. They have told it in this point that sharp devaluation of Indian rupee is driven by capital outflows, which will impoverish the capital account, higher import costs, and a policy shift by the RBI, structural issues such as rising domestic prices and a real exchange rate appreciation. So they have talked about terms like nominal exchange rate. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. Please bear with me. So the relations between them, what is nominal exchange rate, what is real exchange rate? Now there are three types of exchange rate. One is fixed exchange rate, second is floating exchange rate, third is managed floating exchange rate. Generally India follows this managed floating exchange rate. Okay, floating exchange rate is more of demand supply by the market. Okay, so you have to read the one is current account and another is capital account. Current account talks about all the imports and exports of India, which including transfers and everything. Capital account talks about the net change in assets and liabilities. So the FDI inflow and all affects the capital account. Okay, so capital outflow will be bad for our reserves of dollars. So that is what is article is also talking about, and how the declining the depreciation of rupee will affect exports. In the first idea, people think exports will benefit from depreciating rupee, but later on when you realize if the manufacturer is importing a lot of raw materials from outside, there will be increase in the cost of the product, and it will not benefit in the export prices of the product, even if the rupee is weakening. So that those things are being talked about. Please make sure that your concept clarity is there, okay, about these concepts. Let's move the next article. So this article here, this I have pointed out because for the importance of essay. Anne Bronte was born on this day in 1822. So who was Anne Bronte? So people need a lot of examples of individual excellence. Okay, so recently I was discussing an essay with my student where the essay was about the life shouldn't be long, but quality life should be there. Okay, life should be more of quality rather than the length of life. So Anne Bronte could be an example there because she was a novelist and a poet. Her book, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, is considered as first feminist novel, and she died at 29. So they have a good example. This entire Bronte family, which consists of Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, they are three sisters who were, all of them were big novelists. You must have heard about Jane Eyre of Charlotte Bronte, Wuthering Heights of Emily Bronte, and The Tenant of Wildfell of Anne Bronte, right? So father used to create an environment in the house where they used to talk about stories, create some, story out of the toys, some island, something like that, and that helped them help them build their creativity, imagination, and that has slowly led to such important novels. So childhood nurturing also plays a very important part in the success of so many people. Okay, so you can use this example of Anne Bronte. Let's move to the next article. Singapore to help India's semiconductor industry. So few points are important. This comes under GS paper to India and neighborhood relations. So Singapore is exploring new initiatives such as manufacturing of semiconductors, semiconductor ecosystem in India, and creation of new generation of technological solution. Okay, so and they are Prime Minister, the President of Singapore is appreciating that India was one of the first countries to recognize Singapore's independence in 1965. So remember this, and along with semiconductor, he is also trying to explore the possibility of data corridor between GIFT City and Singapore. Okay, he's also talking that Singapore is the largest investor in India. He's talking about the natural advantages of the northeast and the eastern areas of our country. Okay, and thus our partnership with Singapore is comprehensive strategic partnership, which was upgraded last year. Comprehensive strategic partnership. Only this much is important. Let's move to the next article. So Justice 𝘿𝙤𝙣'𝙩 sworn in as a Supreme Court judge, top court close to full strength. So we should know what is the full strength of Supreme Court currently. It is 34, which was which happened in 2019 by the Act of Parliament. Okay, so he's a new judge there. And how the Supreme Court judges are appointed? They are administered the oath by Chief Justice of India. Okay, you should know this. His appointment has raised the judicial strength of Supreme Court to 33, one short of the full sanction strength of 34. 34 full strength hai, 33 total judges hai. Okay, and with the pendency nearing 83,000 cases are pending, Supreme Court Collegium has re-emphasized the need to have full sanction strength of judges. So workload is increasing per judge, so they want full, working judge strength at all times. This is a very interesting article on the side. New app to promote battlefield tourism. So generally we are very much mesmerized by the idea of wars, Kargil war and Indo-Sino war. So the initiative of Ministry of Defense and Tourism has tapped upon this this feeling of ours, and they have developed this app called by the army, Bharat Ranbhoomi Darshan app. Okay, through this what you can do, it was done during the this year Army Day celebration on January 15. So location of the 1962, 1971 and 1999 Kargil war, Siachen base and Galwan clash of 2020 between India and China will be accessible for tourists. So if you go to those locations, you can go where you can see where those fights were done, between India and China or India and Pakistan. Okay, so the Indian Army is transforming border areas and historic battlefields into tourist destination so that people can witness valor of Indian Army from very close quarters. Let's move to the next article. So this is also a very small article that we have to take. Indonesian president will be the chief guest of Republic Day. That is not so important for UPSC, but what is more important, that Indonesia is going to buy and conclude a $450 million deal for the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, and Indonesia will be the second country after the Philippines which will be our export customer for Indo-Russian system. Okay, so this is very important, since we were just talking about net exports of our country is very low. So this will be a former important part of exports, and they're also interested in other Indian military platforms like Dhruv advanced light helicopters and Akash air defense system. Okay, and this much is only important. Let's move to the next article. Okay, scale of corruption not only limited to bigger newsworthy scams, say CGI Sanjeev Khanna. So this comes under paper of GS paper 4, challenges of corruption. Okay, so he talks about this corruption is not limited to bigger scams, but also small socially and economically disadvantaged people are also suffering. Okay, so for example, when examination papers were leaked of so many NEET and BPSC, etc. So right to education and the ability of aspirants to secure jobs is also getting affected. Each instance of corruption diminished public trust. जो public का trust है वो affect होता है इसमें. ठीक है, तो ये सीजीआई कब बोल रहे थे? फर्स्ट लोकपाल फाउंडेशन डे के ओकेजन पे बोल रहे थे। और करप्शन लीड्स टू अनफेयर डिटर्मिनेशन ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। अगर आप फ्रेंड्स वगैरह को देते हो या वेल कनेक्टेड एलीट को दे रहे हो, तो it will disguise itself in sophisticated legal framework, but will be very harmful for the people. It also affects principle of equality that is mentioned in our constitution. So public trust is hampered, and our constitution values are also hampered. Let's move to the next article. In that page, in the foreign page, there is an article of Jeff Bezos. Yeah, in this page. Yeah, so as we know about Elon Musk, SpaceX, Falcon, we should also know about Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin. Blue Origin is his firm about the space, launching rocket on maiden test flight. So Blue Origin launched its New Glenn rocket. So the name of his rocket is New Glenn. Okay, and he is also interested in the future of space exploration and collaboration within the industry. Okay, and they are launching Amazon's project Kuiper satellites and supporting NASA missions. Okay, the spacecraft, their futuristic missions are the spacecraft Escapade, will study Mars atmosphere and magnetic environment while orbiting the planet. So these are future missions that they are planning. So Blue Origin, New Glenn, Jeff Bezos. Let's go to the last article of the day, science page. It's very important from India's perspective because India is facing the largest problem of tuberculosis. Long overdue short-term regimen for TB said to be a game changer. This comes under paper of GS paper 3, science and tech, development and then application of effects in everyday life. Okay, so multi-drug resistant tuberculosis is a strain of tuberculosis disease. So क्या होता है, जैसे मुझे tuberculosis हुआ है, so the bacteria in me will become resistant. So अब I'll eat the same medicine, it will not have effect on me because the bacteria has mutated and it has adapted to that medicine. So it will, it will not, cure my disease. So this has become a problem. This multi-drug resistant. So these bacteria are very smart. बहुत सारे drugs के साथ resistant हो गए हैं. Is a strain of the TB disease which is infecting tuberculosis germs and are resistant to the effect of rifampicin and isoniazid, two of the most potent drugs for TBs. Okay, so 30 to 40% इसमें death होता है और काफी बड़ा serious implication. So India bears a significant burden of TB. आप इसमें परसेंटेज देख सकते हैं, अकॉर्डिंग टू WHO 27% इंडिया में है. ठीक है, तो पॉपुलेशन 17-18% होगी, पर tuberculosis burden is 27%. Okay, so for years the evolution of such resistant germs कैसे आए हैं? Because lack of adherence. जब हम when the patients are not following the timelines of drugs, leave the process and regimen in between, so the bacteria get adapted to the medicine. Okay, so that was happened. The evolution of such resistant germ was largely attributed to the lack of adherence to TB treatment, misuse of TB drugs, especially through improper drug regimens, both of which aid the selection of mutant strains of the bacterium. This is common in India. Okay, so TB affected communities globally have been asking that we should give shorter regimen, less toxic and less painful, but they have mostly been deprioritized. Why? Because TB affected population are largely in the global south, the developing countries. It's not the problem of developed world. So the scientists are not interested there, right? So there are a lot of issues with this medicine: hearing loss, skin discoloration, menstrual cycles are disrupted, severe depression, suicidal ideation. So they are asking for shorter regimens. Shorter regimens are considered a solution because if the duration of treatment is small, they can follow it. So it will have less economic burden. So while new regimens can be game changer, adherence must be monitored. Okay, as bedaquiline resistance has been reported in a high proportion. So what is this new regimen of the medicines, BPAL regimen, which has 3 oral drugs, bedaquiline, pretonamide and linezolid. Okay, so there are these trials that is happening to help them. And antimicrobial resistance, that is an inevitable consequence of such use in subset of patient that has to be cured. Okay, so this is sufficient for this article. Let's move to the last article of the day. Costly HPV vaccine needs to be part of national immunization program. What is this HPV vaccine? It comes under GS paper 2, issues related to social sectors like health. So January is a cervical cancer awareness month. So what is HPV? Human papilloma virus, human papilloma virus, which is responsible for 99% of cervical cancer, leading causes of cancers in Indian women. Okay, so HPV vaccine is the best way to stimulate the immune system to produce bodies that neutralize the virus. Okay, and they are right now they're very expensive. Okay, that's why they're not being because of the high cost they are not introduced. But National Technical Advisory Group from Immunization has recommended the HPV vaccine be included in the national immunization program. First HPV vaccine has come, it was introduced in 2008, but because of high cost, it has not been adopted. Some states like Punjab and Sikkim have introduced into their programs. Okay, so this in India, cancer of the cervix uterine is the third most common cancer. Okay, and the second leading cause of death with a mortality rate of 9.1%. So we have looking at these data, this institution is recommending to make it the part of the national immunization program. That much is sufficient for today. Thank you.